Good morning. Lord have mercy. Why can't we just follow the science? I mean, what's the deal here? If we were following the science, we would be trying to find out how the creation actually works, and then what we need to do to get in line with those things so that we get the best outcome for mankind. We're not doing any of that. We're sitting back trying to decide how the world should work. So they're not following science, they're creating science. They're doing like the whole coronavirus. It's a proven fact now. Coronavirus is man-made, and we funded that thing. And what they do, they took some kind of a disease that was in animals and enhanced it so that it would live in a person and set it loose on the world, and now they can't call it back. That's not following science. That's trying to create a universe the way they want it to be. And they're doing that because they don't realize that there is actually a creator and that we're not all here by accident. If you follow the science, you'll always get back to the way God set things up. We're doing things like we want the world to be more fair. I mean, men and women ought to be the same. I mean, who asked you? We're around and said, well, men and women are the same, and there's really no difference in anything like that. Well, that's not what the science says. You know what I mean? I mean, they're trying to make men and women the same. And the only reason they're doing that is because they don't realize and understand that there is a creator who set this thing up, and it runs a certain way, and it runs to his glory. Everything that's been created was created by God for his glory. And if you don't understand that, you're in here messing in his stuff. Now, they're talking about a man ought to be able to have a baby. Well, that's not what the science says. But man wants to get in there and start messing with it. And like I said, they've already messed up with the coronavirus. And they got this, oh, this is so bad. I mean, that lady talking about the vaccination will not cure the coronavirus, and so it won't make us immune to it, and so they got a plan where they're supposed to have a follow-up shot, and now they're talking about having us take 2 pills a day for the rest of our life. Ain't nobody doing that. That's what happens when you start messing in things that you don't know nothing about. They talk about, remember those old Frankenstein movies? And they created a monster. Well, now we have the technology that we can actually almost do that. How would you like to be the first baby born to 2 daddies? And would you even be a human being? And what kind of human being would you be? And what would be wrong with you? Because that's not the way God set it up. See, and they only believe this because they don't understand that God is. And I'm here to tell you, he is. We're not an accident. And everything is to God's glory. They want to declare that men and women are the same. Well, who asked you? God didn't make men and women the same. But they said, well, that'd be more fair and more this. Well, you ain't God. You're not the creator, and you're messing in creation. Now, the godless society that we have in America now is being run by what they call secular humanists. They call them pantheists, which is basically witches that run around in the woods and all these kind of stuff. But anyway, way down inside, they know there has to be a higher authority for there to be an actual moral right and wrong. And if you dismiss the idea that there's a God, then the natural instincts of man being in God's likeness and in his image is to want to be God themselves. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, and that's why they're dealing with all this stuff about like climate change, and none of this is proven. None of this is proven. Scientifically, there's no proof that the earth is getting warmer or anything. We had AOC come out. A bartender come out and start talking about, climate change. And then we had a little young girl coming out talking about climate change. And there's no proof, no place. The world has gotten warmer and colder and warmer and colder since the beginning of time. But there's scared. They're using these tactics because the people that don't believe in God, the secular humanists, they want power because they know that there has to be a standard someplace around the moral authority of the world. And they want to establish that themselves. They want to be God. They want to be God. They say men and women are the same is the stupidest thing you could say. Because anybody with any eyes can see that. But they're trying to declare life the way they want it to be. I want it to be like this. I want the rain to rain up. I want to have people act like this. The reason they had so much problems over in Afghanistan, okay, is because the secular humanists, they don't have any clue about faith because they don't believe in anything. And so they think they can come in and just kind of convince those folks to do this and do that, and this will be more fair. Well, their Quran, their Bible tells them that they are to kill the infidels. And if they do that, they're going to have 100, they're going to get 100 wives or something like that. They got things that they believe. But and that's not true, and it's not right, and I know that. But you do you decide what you want to decide and all that kind of thing. I know that God is who he says he is, and I know he lives, and he lives in me, and he lives in you if you know who he is. And if you met God, there ain't no question about it. So we need to stop allowing people that don't know what they're talking about to come in and tell us how life is supposed to be. They're stupid. They're stupid because you can't have intelligence if you don't have the right foundation for the decisions that you're making. They're talking about like passing out all this money, okay? You know, they're trying to do another $3 trillion money handout to fix the economy and do away with poverty. Let me tell you something. God's way for doing away with poverty is for men and women, mankind, to trade with one another. I'll do this and you do that, and I'll give you these and you give me that, and to serve one another. That's built in. That's how we're supposed to operate. But they're coming in with that idea that everything ought to be free and all they need is money. And that's such a stupid plan, because if you do that, then nobody's doing the things that are necessary, and you end up with the things we got now. Our gas is twice as much as it ever was. You can't get nobody to work no place. You can't go to the store and get anything from the store because ain't no truck drivers. I mean, because all they're doing is sending money and shutting down our economy. They want to build up the economy. You can't build up the economy by throwing artificial money in it. And they think that money has some kind of special, that's a means of exchange. And you get right down to it, when you run out of food, if you run out of food and your family needs food and you got, and the government then gave you $150,000, but no, there's no hamburgers and there's nothing around, there's nothing to eat. And somebody has a hamburger, how much you think that hamburger gonna cost? How much would you pay if you got $150,000 and your family needs food? How much would you spend to feed your family that day? That hamburger would be $125,000, probably $150,000, because people would be bidding for it. You know what I'm saying? So they're operating outside of the science of how creation has been set up. And until you get in line with that, nothing they do will work. Nothing will work. It all works God's way. None of the impacts of their actions have been a plus in God's creation because it's out of line with the science. Let me tell you, the other day I was going down Winton Road. I'm here in Cincinnati. And it's a nice road. It's nice and clean and all this kind of thing. And there was a guy pulled up next to me. And there's a couple of guys in the car. And he took, the grass was cut around, everything was looking good and everything. And he took a big old bag of trash and just tossed it out the window. And just threw it on the ground and kept going. And that's a product of the way they're trying to run our culture. It's not designed the way men have been put together. In other words, you take away ownership and responsibility, people don't grow up. Back in the day, when you were 16, 17, 18 years old, you was trying to figure out how you was going to pay your bills and how you was going to eat and work things out. Nowadays, they just want to send you money. And once you start doing things like that, the people don't care about what they have because it has no value. That's why when they go in and build these big tenements and all that kind of stuff, these big high rises set up for the welfare state, and they build it this year, and 2 years from now you go back in there and there's nothing but a slum and people just hanging around doing nothing. But that's a product of the fact that they no longer are able to work. And the first thing God gave Adam was a job, and every man needs that. And part of our purpose in being here is to be productive and creative so that we can bless one another. But no, they don't see none of that. They want to come in and dictate who does what and run it because they know that for this thing to make sense, for this creation to operate, there has to be a higher authority. And since they don't recognize or know that there's a God, it has to be them. Now, the sad thing about that is this situation is having a much greater impact on the Black community than any other community, because we have been chosen to be the bottom class of the nations forever, because every time everybody they bring it into the country, they're bringing it in over us, and they keep us in these inner city tenement setups. And this level of irresponsibility has caused an iniquity to happen in the Black neighborhood. There's a term they use oftentimes. They call it the ghetto gene. And basically what that's saying is that, you'll see that same behavior being repeated through the different generations. And it's called an iniquity. And the Bible says that God will lay the iniquity of the father through the third and fourth generation of the children. And what that's saying is that the character that allows for that sin is passed on from father through the children. And oftentimes you see that. You'll see a household that has, the father was a drunk or whatever, and then the children have a tendency to be drug addicts or whatever. So whatever sins that the father committed, the character that supports that sin passed on down through the generations. And that's what's happening with us now. So when you look around and see all the problems that are happening in the black neighborhood, and why does it continue to happen? Because it's an iniquity that's being passed from down through the family, because it's the propensity towards the sin. And this free money is causing that. The lack of ownership, and there's no need to produce because everything is free, instills this attitude of not caring. And that's why that's why we tend to destroy everything in our neighborhood. All those things is being fostered on purpose. If there's no God, the people that want to be God have to have somebody to be God over. And those people have to be less than them. And we've been chosen to be the ones on the bottom, the ghetto. We got to stop that. Last point. You better get a hold of your kids, because they have been working on America for years to get us to this point where we are a godless society. Because the nation was founded as a Christian Judeo on a Christian foundation, and now in school they're hiring godless teachers to indoctrinate the children. and to teach them this okie doke that they're doing now. And it's not working anywhere. It's destroying. It's satanic, because mankind is in the image of God, and the satanic has gotten into their brain because they don't know who God is, and they are destroying us. We are destroying ourselves. This whole Afghanistan debacle, the reason it went down like that is because the people that are doing the negotiating don't have a clue how life is. They've been in colleges and schools and all that, and they've never lived life. They have never worked. They've never earned an actual dollar. The people that are in government making all this money, they never really worked, so they don't even understand the concept, and they don't understand. They don't have a belief system. They don't believe anything. That means that whatever they think is, I think it's going to rain tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be Thursday, but tomorrow's Friday. Actually, you know what I mean? They come up with stuff like that, stupid things, because they're coming from a place that recognizes that there is a higher authority, but they don't know who that is. And so when they went over there and started dealing with them Afghanistan folks, trying to negotiate with them, those people really, now I don't agree with what they believe and it's wrong and all that, but they are committed in their belief, and you can't go over there and buy them out. You can't go in there trying to tell them how their society is supposed to work. And we've been spending all this time trying to do that. We had no business trying to do that in the first place, you know. But they got over there, and you can't. We think that if I bring them enough money, they'll do what I want. No, they won't. They're gonna take that money and kill the people anyway, and then they'll kill you too, because they're operating on a whole different level of brutality. What they believe is that they are rewarded for killing anybody that doesn't believe what they believe, and they're not gonna back up off of that because they really believe that. So, and we're already talking about going back in there again. We ain't even out good. And we're talking about having to go back again. And do you know that we spend $300 million a day in that war for 20 years out of our tax money? And all the, I'm not going to get into all the okie doke stuff that's going on, but if we follow the science, we get back to the way creation was set up to run. We're operating as if all of creation is malleable, and all we got to do is shape it, and we can mess with it, and it's not working, and it never will. It's not God's way. And Romans talks about the penalty for doing that. As you turn from God, the sexual immorality and perversions, and it's not good. We need to follow the science. We need to hold them. You need to hold them to their word. They need to follow the science, not make the science. In Jesus' name, amen.